Is it recording? Yeah. Hey everybody, this is Tim. That is Tin as in Nene Leaks. Tim as in Matilda Bernstein Sycamore. That is probably the first time those two individuals have ever been named together. Is it like the new Tamar Braxton and Little Edie? The Tamar Braxton and Little Edie of 2014. Um, yes, I am America's terminally insightful drag queen public intellectual, aka the Cornell motherfucking West of drag, coming to you with my thoughts on episodes 7 and 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 6. The fucking numbers are just getting, it's like too many numbers. I'm not a number person. So I don't have a whole lot probably to say about this episode because I think as many of you are already aware, I did a guest conversation on the amazing artist Chad Sell's blog this week where I think I said a lot of what I have to say about this episode, and we covered a lot of the major storylines and topics, including Ms. Laganja, including Trinity Bonet's transformation, including some other stuff about like Darian and De La, who had a difficult week in a lot of ways, a difficult 2 weeks. So I don't really want to like repeat or reiterate a lot of that. So you should go check out Chad's website if you haven't already. Look at some of his art, buy some of his art while you were there because it's excellent and awesome. But the one topic from that conversation that I think I do want to return to is just to talk a little bit more about Laganja and her kind of like breakdown and situation, since that was such a major storyline this week. And she was the only elimination we got. When I talked to Chad, I mostly focused on sort of like Laganja the individual, like Laganja in the competition, and I was kind of like, to me, I think ultimately it does not matter whether she was putting on an act or being herself or some combination of both. It's sort of like, when people do that whole thing about like, oh, so-and-so's just putting on an act, part of me thinks that it's kind of like a ridiculous criticism because it's like, hi, drag queens. Ultimately, the bigger issue is that she was immature, that she irritated people, and that she alienated the audience, right? And then she had this sort of hyperactive kind of narcissism or whatever it was going on. And to me, Jocelyn Fox nailed it the most when she said, you demand attention instead of commanding attention, right? I guess I've been thinking a little bit more since having the conversation with Chad about like beyond Laganja the individual, like more broadly, like Laganja the phenomenon, and like what does Laganja kind of like represent or say about the show, and like kind of like what happened there, right? Because I think that there's an important conversation to be had maybe about how does someone who is this volatile emotionally, some people are speculating about her mental health or not. I'm not sure how fair it is to go there when that's not something that she's brought up or talked about herself, but someone that clearly in many ways seems to have buckled under the pressure of the show and the competition. Like, what ethical responsibility does the show have for introducing someone like that to the situation and the equation and kind of exploiting and pushing it as much as they did? And then, I don't know. My friend Jezebel Agogo, who I think this is like the third or fourth time I've mentioned her in one of my videos. She gets a lot of placement here, but she brought up with me this week on Facebook in a little chat this issue of like, so if this moment in our culture or whatever is all about like this mass mediatized, social mediatized, reality televised kind of uber narcissism or something, how much does Laganja kind of like represent the most extreme manifestation of that? And so then the whole setup for her on the show is to kind of make her like the ritual sacrifice for all of us or something to cleanse us of our sins. I think I'm paraphrasing Jezebel's argument correctly. I'm not sure. But I thought it was kind of an interesting one, and just like something to think about. Like, do we set these people up to fall deliberately, kind of like for our own edification or entertainment in some way? And then like, what are the ramifications of that? Is it sort of troubling? I don't know. But yeah, that's the only sort of serious thing I want to talk about. I thought I would take advantage of the fact that I already got out all the seriouses. I got all that shit out in my conversation with Chad to talk about something that I never get to talk about, which is fashion and the runway. I know people ask me for that sometimes, and I think maybe the viewers of this channel have the wrong impression that it isn't something I'm interested in. But the truth is that for me, what drew me to drag as an art form was very much the visual, and I'm like really interested in the visual aspect. I came into drag after having done a lot of forms of art that don't have a visual component, like writing, for a while, and the appeal of drag was that it was multimedia, and that the visual was a big part of that. So it's actually one of the first things I react to in drag. I just don't know how to talk about it in an interesting way always in videos, There's for me, what the visual part of drag makes me feel is much more of like an in-the-body experience or something, right? It's like a gut. Like, you see someone come out in some amazing shit, and then you have that feeling where your gut just sort of drops, and your whole body just kind of like is overcome with that feeling of like how amazing that look is. And it's like, how do you put that into words and talk about it on a weekly basis? I think is hard. Like, it isn't something you can like analyze and use words to talk about, because it is more of just a like, right? And I think that's why that a lot of the people who do videos where they focus a lot on the runway and on the looks, like, it ends up becoming that repetitive sort of like, oh, she was giving me everything. She was giving me everything. I was featuring her. I was not featuring that. I was not featuring that. Bam, 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 like, yes, mama, yes, whatever, kind of videos, which I think is fine and fun if people have the personality for it. That video already exists all over the internet, and I don't feel like I have anything to add to that, or like, that's like why I don't tend to make them, like, there are other people that are feeling that need, right? Like, hashtag Coco and Isis. So yeah, that's why I don't tend to do it. But this fucking week, especially the first half, that fucking black and white challenge, I thought brought some of the like sickest shit like we have seen this year, and so like, why not take a moment to kind of like pay homage to that, right? So the sickest of the sick, the most amazing, was definitely the Klaus Nomi inspired look that Courtney Act came out with. And what I loved about that was she didn't just do a Klaus Nomi realness thing. She like incorporated a Klaus Nomi visual influence into the Courtney Act character in such a great way. And the detail was all perfect. It was all really well and beautifully executed. But the not exactly a wig sort of headpiece thing, the kind of like false hair, was at once like totally Klausish, but also like it was all also very high feminine. And I have to say, I was so pissed at Santino for stealing Klaus Nomi Malone from me. So I have this thing I do on Facebook sometimes where I like to do Facebook Hangman. I set up Facebook Hangman puzzles for my Facebook fans or friends. Oh my God, listen to me. Friends. I set up a little game, like I do a Hangman game on Facebook for my friends. And I do a puzzle and they guess in the comments. But I love to do them in the before and after structure from Wheel of Fortune. When Wheel of Fortune does those before and after puzzles. So one time I did Klaus Nomi Malone on Facebook. And so when he said it, I was like, bitch! But it's the perfect description of that look, which is amazing. Some of the other ones I loved. I mean, I think a lot of people were like gagging for Bianca's look. I love that she changed her silhouette and did something that, she's been doing, gowns, but to do a whole different kind of gown with the giant ball skirt with crinoline probably. Um, was really awesome. I've been wanting to have a giant ball skirt like that for a while, actually, because I think it would be such a different look from what I normally do. And I would love to actually like make it a mix, like have the really elegant ball skirt, but then like punk it up on top, so it's like, I don't know, Courtney Love goes to marry the prince from Cinderella or something. I don't know. That's an idea I've had in my head for a while. But I loved. I mean, it was just so elegant and gorgeous. That one was amazing. Darien Lake. I liked that she switched up her silhouette, since a lot of people were sort of critical that she'd had that same kind of dress for multiple weeks. You know, some people are saying when you're that size that there's a danger in going that wide. I don't think that part bothered me. What did was like then you really have to get the hourglass right, and it seemed like she was struggling a little bit with that. It was a little bit like just mass. That's got to be really hard to do when you're, I think, when you're big. And one of the reasons I think she skews toward those other kinds of dresses is because it's so easy to get the hourglass shape in them, maybe. Um, and I also didn't like the fabric for the big shoulder parts. It had that kind of cheap sequins, costumey vibe to me. Um, I would have liked a little bit more expensive looking fabric. And because the shoulders were so big, then I thought her bun looked very tiny. So I almost thought maybe she should have just completely gone overboard with the big hair to match the big shoulders, and it would have sort of balanced things out better. But in general, I thought I was happy to see her do something new, and I loved the way Chad illustrated it, if you go look at it. And same thing with Dela, like, I actually preferred Chad's illustration to the actual outfit. The outfit was cool, and like, the piece around the shoulder was well done, with the thingies. It was a cool shapes, but but there were some aspects of the details that didn't quite work as strongly for me in real life, and but then when Chad illustrates that, then you get like, then it just pulls what is most striking about the look, and you don't have to worry about like what was the tailoring on the side, or how did the shape, that kind of stuff. A lot of people I think were really excited about Trinity's domino gown. I thought it was really pretty. I mean, Trinity always looks perfect. The thing with Trinity's looks is sometimes they're sort of safe feeling, and I thought that one was sort of safe feeling. Although it's stronger on the runway than in pictures, I think, because the sort of train piece, it's not really a train because it doesn't drag. I don't know what you call it when it's like a separated skirt, whatever. The way that moved when she walked, I think you really had to see her in motion to fully appreciate the beauty of the look. Who am I forgetting that was awesome? I mean, Adore did look good. It wasn't, like the most interesting of the group. Laganja's, I thought was an interesting and strong concept, that was executed not so well. I thought it was. I don't know if any of you guys are watching Raja and Raven's weekly fashion reviews. I think they're hysterical. I love how goofy they're being in them. I like that they are still saying some valid things about fashion, but also not taking it seriously at the same time. And it seems like maybe some of the show's fans who are maybe a little bit more simple aren't quite getting it. The combination of humor and serious, uh, like they're not quite getting the joke, and people keep reading in the comment threads on YouTube Raven week after week for wearing the t-shirts when it's obviously meant to be humorous, right? Um, but I've been loving those, and I just love Raja in particular. And I love getting to see her again and her sort of unique intelligence and kind of off-kilter humor, which isn't like ha 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 funny. It's more just sort of like casually goofy funny and smart. But why did I start talking about them? They were. Oh, I loved when Rasha said that Laganja's look was kind of like a bad Burning Man outfit. That made me laugh. But my thing about Laganja always has a strong concept for her looks, even if the execution isn't flawless. And because of that, I can appreciate why she felt like she was like looks wise a more interesting queen than Adore is, and was sort of struggling with the feedback around that. But yeah, the hair was a little unbalanced, and the fabric and sort of stitching wasn't totally working for me on the actual piece. And those lips, I'm guessing she did the lip pattern with one of those temporary lip tattoos, which can be really appealing because I think they seem really cool. I think they're a hard thing. Like I went through a whole phase where I loved using them. I think they're a hard thing to use in drag because you're so often being seen from a distance and it doesn't really read unless you're very close up. So it just seems like a weaker lip or something, or like what's going on with the texture over there? I don't know. But I understand the appeal of wanting to use them. I don't know. I can't remember what else. What other looks there were. I'm ignoring Jocelyn's, aren't I? Yeah. Doesn't we need to talk about it. I think it's everybody. I don't know. So yeah, go read my conversation with Chad Sell, and also it looks like Chad and I are going to team up to be together on. Oh, the mail's here. Hi, thank you. Sorry about that. The mail lady comes into the office. I'm recording at the office today. She comes into the office. I didn't want to talk while she was in here. But it looks like Chad and I will be re-teaming for the last episode on the Feast of Fun podcast. So if any of you listen to Feast of Fun, and if you're not already a Feast of Fun listener, it is a paid subscription-based podcast most of the time. Certain podcasts will come out from behind the paywall, and I think eventually they make most of them free. But there is like a monthly fee. They do daily podcasts about all kinds of different LGBT-related content, and they work really hard on them and do a really good job. It's not super cheap to be a subscriber, but I think that it is like worth it if you can and have time to listen to them. It's really good content, so I would recommend that, and I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to do that. The only reason we won't is if they are airing the finale on a week when I'm out of town. There's 1 week in May when I'm away, and we're not positive about the airtime schedule yet. But otherwise, we should be doing that, and I think it'll be really fun. So much love to you all. Mwah.